Welcome! In this video lesson we're going to be looking at patterns. Our world is full of patterns. A pattern is something that repeats itself over and over again. Patterns are everywhere. As you can see in these pictures, animals have patterns, furniture has patterns, even food can have patterns, and that person is wearing a dress with a pattern on it. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about patterns. Okay, I've created a pattern here using some of my shapes. Here is my first pattern. Triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. Remember, a pattern is something that repeats. So what part in this pattern keeps repeating over and over? Have you worked it out? Did you say that the triangle and circle is the part that repeats? It's true because look, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. What will be next? What shape do you think? Did you say triangle? Then you would be correct. Alright, that's a pretty easy one. Let's give another one a go. Let's see. I might try. See if I can challenge you a little bit. It's always good to have a challenge. Okay, so look at this pattern. I have a star, diamond, diamond, star, diamond, diamond. So what part of this pattern is repeating? Have you worked it out? Did you say star, diamond, diamond? Well, you would be correct because look, next comes a star, then a diamond, then another diamond. Wow. All right, are you clever enough to work out what shape will come next in this pattern? Did you say star? You'll be right. What about the next one? Yep, that's followed by a diamond, and that diamond's followed by another diamond. Okay, here's one last pattern. See how you go with this. So, I like these shapes. They're just very colourful and bright and easy to use. This is a big one, isn't it? Very long. I'll just squish it over a little bit. There we go. I've moved it along. Okay, let's look at this pattern. So we've got a rectangle, 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 star. Rectangle, 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 star. Okay, so what part of this pattern repeats? Have you worked it out? Did you say rectangle, 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 star? You would be right, because that is the part of the pattern that repeats. Look, let's check here. Rectangle, 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 star. Well done. All right, let's move on to something more challenging. So let's create some patterns and give those patterns a rule. So here's my first pattern. So I've got pine cone, leaf, pine cone, leaf. Now, for the pine cone, I'm going to represent the pine cone with the letter A. Now, when I see a leaf, the leaf is going to be represented by the letter B. Pine cone is A, leaf is B. Pine cone is A, leaf is B. Now, what part of this pattern repeats? That's right, the pine cone and the leaf. Therefore, this is an A-B pattern, because as you can see, it goes A for pine cone, B for leaf, and that keeps getting repeated. Okay, let's try another pattern. Shell, rock, rose. Shell, rock, rose. Okay, so what do you think about this pattern? Let's do the same thing. Let's give it a bit of a rule. So the shell will be A, the rock will be B, and the rows will be C. The shell is A, the rock is B, and the rows is C. Now what part of this pattern repeats? This part here, isn't it? The shell, the rock, and the rows. And as you can see, it is an A, B, C pattern. So that's the rule we're going to create, A, B, C. How are you going? Getting this a little bit? Okay, let's try one more. It's a bit squishy on this page. Now, see if I can be a little bit tricky. So I've got feather, feather, shell. Now this is a little bit different. So that you can see it, I'm just going to use a different colour. Okay, so we've got the feather, and we'll do A for feather, another feather. Well, if it's the same item, I've got to give that an A as well. I've got to represent that by an A as well. A shell, so that will be B. Feather, remember, is A, so anytime I see a feather, it's going to be A in this pattern, and the shell is B. So what part of the pattern repeats? That's right, the feather, feather, shell. So this pattern is an A, B pattern. So those letters on the side there or underneath, they represent the item for each particular pattern. So that helps me be able to describe the pattern and give it a little bit of a rule. Alright, this is pretty cool. It's already been set up for us. So let's look at this first pattern here. We're going to work out the pattern rule and then we're going to continue the pattern on. Okay, so here's a leaf. So I'm going to call the leaf A. And there's a rose, that's going to be B. And there's another rose, so that's going to be B. The leaf is A. And the rose is B, and another B. So this is an A, B, B pattern. That's how I can describe it. Now, let's see what continues on. Okay, so I know this part is what is repeating in the pattern, the leaf, and then a rose followed by another rose. So that means after that end rose comes another leaf, and then after the leaf will come a rose. Wow, I've got to keep going on with that pattern, but I've run out of room. Okay, let's look at this next one. So I can see a love heart, so I'll give that the A square, B, and a pine cone, C. A love heart A, a square B, and the pine cone C. So the part of the pattern that repeats is this love heart, square, pine cone. Now that is known as a A, B, C pattern, as you can see there. Now I've got to continue this pattern on. Alright, so after the pine cone will be another heart, and then the square, and then the button. How are you going? Okay? Alright, let's have a look here. Our last pattern. So I've got a button, a rose, rose, button, button, rose, rose. Alright, so for button it's going to be an A. So there's another button, I have to give that an A. Then a rose is B, another rose is B. So the button is A, the next button is A, the next rose is B, and the next rose is B. Now what part of this pattern repeats? Button, button, rose, rose. So this is quite a bigger pattern. So this pattern can be described as an A, B, B pattern. Wow, this is getting a bit tricky, but I hope you're following along okay. Wow, you should go and high-five a friend. You've been working really hard on patterning. Hopefully now you understand what a pattern is. You can continue a pattern on, you can identify the part of the pattern that repeats, and you are able to give that pattern a bit of a rule, a bit of a name. Alright, awesome patterning. Keep on patterning.